Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew Stott and I'm the Emperor of Stomaria. Today I want to discuss the provinces of the Empire. Now, the structure of Stomaria and the terminologies that we use to define our territorial holdings is something that has evolved within Stomaria over the last half a decade or so. And originally, what we had was a system where the structure of the empire was based around provinces, protectorates, and associated states.
We would have three kinds of territory. So we would have provinces, protectorates, and associated states. So a province is land that is directly owned by the imperial family, and it is governed by a member of the imperial family or the Stomarian nobility. A protectorate is land that's directly owned by the imperial family, but it's governed by the highest authority of another micronation. And an associated state is where the land is directly owned by the leader of another micronation and it is governed by the leader of another micronation, but they have decided to freely associate themselves with Stomaria.
The common theme with all of these is that they all revolve around holding private freehold land, to have someone within the empire having some control or authority over this territory. But in 2021, we decided to introduce the observer state, which was a tier that was designed to allow entities, communities, and nations to become involved within the empire, even if they didn't have any private freehold land to their name.
And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be introducing a new tier, if you like, where micronations can become observer states. So micronations that meet various other qualifications or criteria, they will be able to become observer states within Stomaria, so they will be able to engage in trade and commerce and be able to receive Stomarian status, but they won't form a part of the Empire of Stomaria's territorial empire.
Then in 2023, we went through the process of trying to simplify the structure of the empire. So we got rid of the protectorate tier and we redefined the associated state as a member state. What we're going to be doing is, even though provinces are going to remain the same, it is Stomarian territory. It is directly owned by the imperial family and is governed by a member of the imperial family or Stomarian nobility. It is a purely Stomarian territory. However, instead of having an associated state and a protectorate, we are simply going to have a member state. So a member state effectively is an associated state. It is going to be consisting of private freehold land that is owned and governed by the highest authority of another nation, of another community. Then in 2024, we also scrapped the observer state tier and restructured the empire into the form that it takes today, with member states being any nation that forms a part of the empire, regardless of whether or not they have land. And the territory of Stomaria and all the member states of the empire, if they have it, being divided into provinces, each of which will have an appointed governor. This new structure accomplishes two things for us. First, it makes the structure of Stomaria so much more simple, so much more streamlined, so much more uniform, and allows people to more easily understand the relationship between Stomaria and the member states of the empire. But at the same time, it also keeps Stomaria as it was, as something that is incredibly decentralized, with the autonomy of the member states of the empire still being maintained and respected. Now, the member states of the empire at this time are the Kingdom of Wayward and the Republic of Vesta. And the three provinces within the empire at this time consists of Southward under Stomaria, Wayward South under Wayward, and Augusta under Vesta. Southward and Wayward South are two adjoining provinces in Bransgore, a village in the south of England. Each of these provinces measures a little over 900 square meters, while Augusta is a province near Casper in Wyoming and is around 0.16 square kilometers. However, despite the massive difference in size, Southward and Wayward South are the most heavily utilized and productive provinces at this time, with communal gatherings, renewable energy, water collection, soil rejuvenation, forestry work, agriculture, and more besides, all featuring on these lands. Now, from next year, in 2025 onwards, we are going to be looking to expand the territorial holdings of the empire. Wayward, Vesta, and Stomaria are all going to be looking to acquire additional territory and to convert that territory into provinces, which can be utilized in order to accomplish our goals, to achieve our objectives, to promote our values. And the way that we're going to be doing this is very simple. We are going to buy the land. And to do that, we are obviously working to acquire the necessary capital in order to accomplish this. And this is no small feat. However, the way that each nation goes about acquiring this territory through these purchases will be varied, in the sense that wayward investor, they might go out and buy the land outright, which is obviously the simplest and safest way to go about it. However, in Stomaria, we are going to be experimenting with potential joint purchase agreements between members of the imperial family and the Stomarian nobility, the creme de la creme, the best of the best, the most loyal and dedicated citizens of Stomaria and the wider empire. Now, the thinking behind this is pretty straightforward. If we have a certain amount of capital to allocate to the acquisition of additional territory, if we can match that in some form or another with other members of our community, then obviously the expansion of Stomaria's territorial holdings will be far more rapid. Now, obviously, take this with a pinch of salt. Nothing is set in stone, nothing is guaranteed, and there are a lot of risks associated with this. I have spoken for many years now about the potential pitfalls that people can face when you have multiple people with multiple different motivations coming together to purchase land in these joint purchase agreements. If you have fallings out, if you have people that want to go in a different direction, if people, die or become incapacitated, it can have a lot of complications in terms of how that territory is then carved up, and it can be a very costly affair. And the warnings that I have given over the years still remain, even as I am planning to go down a similar route myself. But given the opportunities and the potential benefits of going down this route, once we weigh up against the risks and we mitigate those risks in as much as we can by vetting the people that we're actually going to join these joint purchase agreements with, then there does seem to be a lot of opportunity to actually expand Stomaria far more rapidly than we had previously anticipated. And that's not something that's lost on me. That's something that I would like to see happen. But more than this, it actually means that the Stomarian nobility, the creme de la creme, the best of the best, the most loyal and dedicated of our citizens, can also have some skin in the game without being burdened with 100% of the cost of acquiring additional lands themselves. So even though that they might be able to acquire some amount of territory within the empire as a part of this joint purchase agreement, it is my anticipation, in order to keep Stomaria as decentralized as possible, to maintain the federal structure that we have each of these Stomarian nobles becoming the governors of the territory that they actually help us to acquire. And then they can utilize this to their own benefit. So long as there's some benefit to Stomaria or the wider empire, on some level, I want them to be able to utilize this land, by and large, in a way that benefits them personally. Because that is ultimately what Stomaria as an idea is about. It's about going out there and providing for yourself. Yes, we are building a community. Yes, we are building a society. Yes, we are building a nation. Yes, we are building an empire. But this empire is an empire of individuals. And what I want to see is more people doing what I have done, what we have done, to acquire land, to develop it, to utilize it in a way that makes each individual, each family unit, more self-reliant, less dependent on others. That is one of our core pillars within Stomaria and within the empire, in order to reduce reliance on not just the nations around us, but also on your neighbors. And I don't mean this in an isolationist way. It's just a matter of common sense to me that you should be able to provide for yourself, provide for your family, and then go further to provide for your local community, and then to provide for your nation. Too many examples in the modern world where you have modern nations, conventional nations, reliant on other nations and other powers which are often quite hostile towards them. It might be oil or gas or grain or whatever the case may be. And yes, there are obviously going to be some things that we have to rely on others for. Stomaria is not an isolationist project in the sense that we will always look to acquire produce and products and all the rest of it from the United Kingdom or elsewhere in the world. But the point is, we need to be able to provide more of what we need. Our own food, our own energy, our own water. These are the sorts of things that we are striving to have a kind of monopoly on in our own circles, to actually provide for ourselves. And we can only do this through the acquisition of land, the utilization of that land, and to have people to actually be on the ground, boots on the ground, actually looking after, governing and managing these territorial holdings, these provinces of the empire. And that is what this is about. This is the next step for the empire. And the more rapidly that we can expand over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, the faster that we can do this, the quicker that we're able to accomplish our goals, the more obvious it will be to more and more people that Stomaria and that the empire as a whole is going to accomplish what it set out to do. It's going to accomplish great things. And I don't doubt for a minute that there will be people there watching this, waiting in the wings to see what happens. And once they are confident in what we are doing, once they can see we have accomplished much of what we already set out to do, then they can get involved themselves and continue the expansion of not just the citizenry, but in terms of territorial expansions. The amount of capital that we have within Stomaria in terms of each individual citizen, once we apply any of that to the acquisition of land through these joint purchase agreements, then we will be able to more rapidly see change in a very real and significant way. And so for any Stomarian citizens that are out there, or any Stomarian supporters that have yet to become citizens but might be interested in going down this route at some point, I would recommend either getting in touch with us or watching this space, because we are doing this. From next year onwards, you are going to see more territory within Stomaria and the wider empire being acquired and utilized for the betterment of our community. And that is something that we have been striving for years now. If you want to learn more about Stomaria or play an active role in our development and expansion, visit our website at www.stomaria.com and find out what it means to be a Stomarian.